I haven't been shit on by a bird in ages, literally years. I bring this to your attention because this morning I was walking long dog along the seafront with my dear girlfriend, and they were both shat on at once, like a flyby by, I presume, a seagull, but it could have been a pigeon. It wasn't an enormous load, but it managed to sort of pepper them both. Went all up Hayley's top half, look at the top legs, and back of the dog's neck. Dog didn't even notice. Dog don't care. Dog's happy for the poo, quite honestly. She will roll. Well, she rolled in a dead duck once. Happy about that. Roll in fish guts. Roll in fox poo, human poo, whatever's available, whatever is on the smorgasbord of Todd that she can get her paws on. Hayley said it was good luck. I said it was hilarious. You know, maybe we're both right. But I haven't had one. I haven't received the Todd from above for a little while now. And I wonder whether or not perhaps, I don't know, perhaps I had at some point invoked a parlay with the birds. A ceasefire, if you want. Like, between the Germans and the British forces on Christmas Day, when they put down their guns and they played football for a day and realised that perhaps they weren't so different after all. They were just men fighting a more powerful man's war. And you can think about that, the next time you're shat on by a bird, and just think, fuck you, bird, and track that bird down and kill it as if it was a Nazi. Because in many ways it is. And, as much as, perhaps the frontline troops, maybe they weren't so different. We are actually quite different from birds. Really, there's no comparison, is what I'm getting at here, is there's absolutely no comparison between the Second World War and being todded on by a seagull. I mean, it's anyone who is trying to make that comparison is on a fool's errand. So I would recommend against it, particularly at 3 minutes past 10 in the morning while trying to conduct a morning radio show. So I don't really know why I ventured down that road. Maybe it's the situation whereby if I can't be good, at least I can be a good example of what not to do. That's something. Everyone can strive for that, right? Everyone can, at the very least, be a good example of what not to do. So that's a positive out of any situation, no matter how bad. No matter how bad you fuck up, We're going to get back into Hitler. Is Hitler a good example of what not to do? I guess so, But is the juice worth the squeeze on that one? No. Obviously the world would be better off without that. So it doesn't always ring true. Okay, look, this is Coffee and Memes here. We're not talking about the big stuff. We're not tackling the big issues here. We're reading articles about fucking sex robots, yeah, and people having weird sex parties and millennials vaping Tide Pods. We're not wrestling with the big issues here. We are, filling in the gap between the breaths of birth and death. We're just papering over the cracks of the crumbling wasteland of society. And that's fine. I'm happy with my role. I know that I'm perhaps not really above the level of pigs, of actual real pigs. I'd say that would probably be my level. I'm happy with that. I don't necessarily think that I'm, better than anyone else. We're all pigs, when it comes down to it. Schnaffling for truffles, be that in the ground or be that in a young lady's ass. We're all just out here schnaffling for truffles. Maybe we'll find them. Maybe we'll just find yesterday's Todd. You got to keep schnaffling, though, boys and girls. You got to keep schnaffling. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Coffee and Memes.
Steady job and a couple extra potatoes. That's all I want.
You're getting on. You're pushing 30, Slugger. It's time to think about getting some ambition.
Oh, I always figured I'd live a little bit longer without it.
Don't forget, kid, that what you're trying to do here is to be bright and chipper and entertaining and intelligent and sort of glitzy, and that's funny, and it's kind of cool, and it's interesting, and it's edgy, and all of that. It puts that facade of momentary charisma on you, and if you don't play that out, you actually fail.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Threshold.fm, welcome to Coffee and Memes, welcome to YouTube, welcome to A Vision of Hell. We're here, but we're making the best of it. Guys, what the frick is going on in the world? Because I've just had a look at all these sort of news websites, and I will say there is a lot of Bolacs. Companies making bra and knickers for men. Learner driver caught in high-speed police chase during third lesson. Let's probably get that up, actually. That's probably worth looking at. Oh, God, 6 elderly people arrested for having sex in American Woodland. All fellas, all just out for a good time. Walkers celebrate with purple Aki. We'll get into that. You know, we'll get to that. Man, let date castrate him, then keep his balls in a jar by his bed. I'm sceptical of this story, although it is in the Metro. I've seen it on some very spurious websites. So, I don't know, because it might be the sort of thing which a lot of websites that are made to look like legitimate news websites, they're called like Fox 47 or ABC, something or other, and they've sort of looked like they're supposed to be real websites. But I don't think they are. I think it's fake news. But we'll get into it anyway, because it's on the Metro, so, you know, that must mean it's real. And Jen Mills is reporting on it, so, God, we all need to know about that. Members of German Crossbow sex cult Suicide Pact took knockout drops before they were willingly killed in an attempt to be reborn in higher realm, investigators believe. We will get into this. I promise you, we will get into that. I'm putting it to the front of the queue. Go, see, can't argue with that. Cure for obesity could be an implant. Brain implant zapping people when they think about food. Yeah, okay, cool. MDMA could be used to treat alcoholism more effectively than current therapy. Again, we'll see, won't we? The Matrix 4 confirmed. Keanu Reeves returning as Neo. Fantastic. Brilliant. Great. Just what we need. I want a John Wick 4. Forget the Matrix. It's just, no, all right, fine. Well, you know, we'll get into it. Meet the hallucinogenic fish that can give you LSD-esque nightmares, and strange figure walking through a US forest branded best Bigfoot sighting ever. Maybe that was just one of the cottagers arrested in America for shagging. I don't know what the crime is there. You know, if you're out in the woods just doing as nature intended, I don't really know what the crime is, but we can look at that. Great. Well, the iPad's run out of batteries, I think. No, it's still got 2%. Forget that. We'll use the pewter. Let's talk about songs on the list to play. Hit drum and bass songs to listen to as part of the Coffee and Memes drum and bass hit parade. We'll have that inside info bit again. That's been a bit of a favey. That's fine. We've got also that Particle remix of Sam Binger. Naughty bit. Everyone was a fan of that. New Malix played that yesterday. That was good times. There's that Makoto and Kino bit. Very nice. That's worth a look. And I can't play that Cove bit, so I'm going to take that off the list. Sorry, Cove. Maybe presumably, Cove's ambitions were to have as many records played on Coffee and Memes as possible. But looks like you're going to have to part ways with your record label if you want that. So, you know, it's ups and downs, isn't it? It's just the way the world works. I'm not saying it's fair. It's not. But, again, life's not fair. Insomniac's London Soul, play that. I'm going to play this Kino and Makoto bit now, because that's the sort of thing to get you in the mood, I think, on Thursday morning. A gentle, dreamy mood. So gentle, so dreamy. Bildo is back in the house. Good to have you back, brother. I hope you got a tan. Chode says thoughts on a new Shy FX album. I wasn't aware there was one. Shows how much I know about anything. Don't be shy about smashing that like button. Hey Chode, about the Rankins Records podcast, I have the shittiest excuse ever, which is that I've lost the frickin' cable for this bastard thing, which has got them all on. It's the weirdest bloody thing you've ever seen. Some strange one. It's solid state bloody pain in the ass hard drive, and the cable's weird. It's not a good story, but it's a story, you know. A few people asking for a rewind on that story. So the deal with it is that I've lost the cable for this hard drive, and all the Rankins records are contained within this hard drive. And until I even work out what the cable's called, it's going to be difficult to get another one. So I guess I could go to Maplin doesn't exist anymore. So that's a problem, isn't it? I don't know. Maybe I should just go and tour around those sort of moody phone unlocking shops until I find someone. There's one down on the high street called King of Jism. It's King of GSM, but it's King of Jism. Let's what's going on there. It is a cool story. No, it's not a USB 3. It's not. It's weird. It's flat. Look, why are we still talking about this? It's not a USB 3. It's got some weird thing on it. Okay, guys. Look inside. There's a. Forget it. I'm not. Jesus fucking Christ. Look, I'll work it out. Okay, guys. I'll work it out. I know you have almost no faith in me whatsoever, and I understand that, I appreciate that, and I agree with that. But when I finish sweating, I'll try and get into it. Talking of which, Rankings Records will be at 3 p.m. today. Also, after the show at 11, it's not USB 3, your mum's USB 3. Coming up at 11, the handsome young boy, handsome young thug, handsome young burly big-eared thug, Constrict, has got a new show. Brand new, 2 hours of sensational loveliness. So get on that hype for 2 hours, and then brand new Gold Top. It was on last night, but you know, for those of you who listen at work, for those of you who have jobs, which I think is about 2% of the listeners, or so that the YouGov polling has told me, you can enjoy it then, and then that'll take you all the way through till 3. I'll take you through till 4. Then you can have your sandwiches. I guess, second sandwiches of the day. You can spread whatever you want on them, whether or not you want to spread Marmite, marmalade, or just the essence of a grown man's ass. You can do that, and that'll take you through until about 7, when, you know, it's Eastern Front. Then 9 o'clock, duff. Come on, look, I swear to God, if someone says USB 3 again, I'm ending the stream. Right, Walkers, celebrate with Purple Aki. This is bizarre. I don't know really. There's so little information about this. Let me get it up on the screen. Come on, Jesus. I'm not sure if I can go through with explaining who Purple Aki is to those that don't know, but here is Gary Lineker with a picture of him.
Walkers wave and celebrating the UEFA Champions
Shut up.
Final. Nice selfie. Here you are,
yeah.
Uniting with other fans outside the National Stadium of Wales.
Why do companies do this? How stupid are they? Like that.
The Walkers wave, a thing of beauty.
Has there ever been a company that has done something like this and people have not subverted it with something offensive? Okay, if you don't know who Purple Aki is, Purple Aki lives in the north of the country. And his deal was that he would go around town and find muscly boys and ask if he could squeeze their muscles. And he would ask if they could pick him up. And he would enjoy this for sexual reasons. And he would chase people. And he would try and rape them. And then he chased someone and they ran onto a train tracks and they were killed by a train. He then went to prison where he allegedly raped numerous people. And now he's out, back out on the streets, and occasionally is spotted asking to feel people's muscles. He is a real menace. He is a deeply awful human being. And there's Gary Lineker. There he was, holding up a picture of Purple Aki. The Metro says, Walkers didn't bother to check who was in the picture and ended up having some branded fun with the notorious muscle toucher. The notorious rapist, Purple Aki. Like, he's not I appreciate the stories are funny. There are some funny bits, but like, it's he's a real terror. He's done awful things. Metro there just chuckling about, the notorious muscle toucher. Whose muscles will he touch next? He's touched the muscles inside people's anuses without their permission. Anyway, that's what Walkers have been up to. That's what Gary Lineker's doing. He's why do they do it? Like, this is just, it's so bizarre. Like, how did they not expect people to like put a picture of Hitler on there, or a picture of Jimmy Savile, or a picture of Purple Aki? Like, what? What? Okay, I hope that explains it all for you. All right, let's get into this. Members of German Crossbow sex cult Suicide Pact took knockout drops before they were willingly killed in an attempt to be reborn in a higher realm, investigators believe. In May, a man and a woman were found with crossbow bolts through the heart. The female shooter had then turned the weapon on herself in Bavaria. 2 days later, 2 other women who belonged to the sex cult were found dead 400 miles north in Wittingen. Detectives revealed today that the two shot by Crossbow had taken a knockout narcotic. Fucking boomers. Similar to the date rape drug before they were willingly killed. Can you say you were willingly killed if you were taken Rohypnol or GHB or something along those lines? Can you be like... Because if someone takes that and then they have sex with someone, we don't consider that consent. So how are they saying they were willingly killed if they've taken this? Anyway, two found at the separate address are believed to have poisoned themselves. Members of a German Crossbow sex cult, suicide pact, took knockout drops before they were willingly killed. Yeah. In May, German police were left baffled when three people were found dead from crossbow wounds in a sleepy Bavarian guest house, and 2 days later, 2 other cult members. Tell me about the cult. All 5 are understood to have believed they were world renewers and world heritage producers. Okay, who thought they had been reborn multiple times and that their deaths would transport them to a higher realm. Build reported. Detectives today believe Torsten Weiss, 53, and Kirsten Enders, 33, took drops of narcotics similar to a date rape drug before Farina Kaspari, 30, shot him, and then herself in Passau. Kaspari's girlfriend, Gertrude C., 35, and Karina U., 19, who were discovered 2 days after the trio were thought to have poisoned themselves at Kaspari's apartment in Wittingen. Okie dokie. Right, okay. Let's look. Tell me more about the cult. Senior prosecutor Walter Feiler told Bild the pair in Bavaria residues were detected in the blood. There was also a bottle in the room. 2 persons, Weiss and Enders, were unable to act and unconscious at the time of the crime. Kaspari shot Weiss and Enders, who were holding hands on a bed, through the heart on May 12th. She then turned the weapon on herself, shooting a bolt through her neck. Jesus, committing suicide by crossbow. That is... You've got to be pretty fucking keen on committing suicide at that point, haven't you? Kaspari's civil partner, a teacher, Gertrude C., and Karina U. were discovered 2 days later at the apartment the couple shared in Wittingen, Lower Saxony. Weiss had previously been described as a domineering head of a sex cult who treated women like slaves, controlling them with physical force and psychological manipulation. The recommendations for running a good cult are, in fact, to control them with shoe throwers, pingers, and general lobster-based banter. Prosecutors confirmed today he has believed to have had sexual contact with all 4 of the women. Okay, the ringleader ran a medieval-themed shop filled with weapons, Knights Templar flags, and blood-spattered mannequin on the counter. Yep, okie dokie. Karina Yu's parents told German press at the time their daughter had fallen under Weiss's spell years ago and broken off contact with them. The others to die had also been isolated from their families and appeared to have been carried away by Weiss's charisma. Girls, do not let anyone that looks like that put you under any sort of spell. It's hard to imagine a guy with that choice of facial hair and glasses to have quote-unquote charisma, but we live in strange times. And being that rural Germany is about 30 years behind the rest of the world, very confusing times. Where are we? At the time of death, Weiss was living with Enders in a village of Westerwald, where the pair ran a bizarre medieval-themed shop. The shop featured mannequins covered in blood and chains and sold mead, an alcoholic drink from the Middle Ages brewed with honey, along with weapons. The shop also offered sword fighting classes twice a week. So, Weiss was the legal owner of his medieval-themed shop until May 2018, but worked there until his death. It's not clear who owned the shop before or after him. Oh, wow, that's quite a peculiar-looking store. That doesn't really have the sort of vibes I was expecting it to. It looks like it's in a call centre or something. I was expecting a sort of like, come on, you must have like medieval themed shop. I would expect them to have more sort of decoration and stuff for it to look more medieval in there. That's sort of bit utilitarian, isn't it? They've just got stock sort of lying about the place in a place that's clearly much too big. There's a lot of space in rural Germany. And it has a mannequin all covered in blood, sort of a bit tied up and stuff. Some oddness going on there. Little is known about Enders or how she met Weiss, but police said earlier this year the pair had written up wills. Together with Kaspari, the pair shared a love of the Middle Ages, and in particular jousting, which they actively participated in. Weiss, Enders and Kaspari had been on their way back from a jousting tournament in Germany when they died. Before he owned the shop, Weiss had lived in a rented farmhouse, which he shared with Kaspari, her partner Gertrude, and Karina in Lower Saxony. The house was located on a 500-year-old horse farm, which comprised several buildings, a former manor, 40,000 square metres of land, stables, and a riding area. The foursome were reported to have lived there for 2 months in 2017. Okay, so they're in some sort of wacky polyamorous relationship. Why do these wacky polyamorous relationships always end up in someone being killed? It's almost as if that each their own and everything. Let's remember our liberalism here. It's almost as if these things just aren't quite meant to be, and that it's perhaps troubled people that get into them. Where are we? Alexander Kruger, 44, the man who rented the farmhouse to wife, described him as a master who ordered the women about. God, look at all his gear. He's got a lot of knives. It's always worth being slightly wary of people that collect knives, I feel. You know what I mean? Anyone, people with large collections of weapons. I mean, are you getting ready for the revolution? Are you starting the revolution? You trying to keep the King of England out of your basement? What's going on, buddy? Why all the knives? I mean, God, it's bad thinking about. Like, a knife's a really bad. Really, what, you're going to stab someone? Like, and someone comes in, can you imagine that? Sinking a knife, it's a disaster. It's not a good weapon for self-defense, I don't think. But running away is my recommendation. Why have I got onto this anyway? Where are we? But after signing the lease, the new girlfriend never came back, Kruger said, and was instead replaced by a lesbian couple, who were joined later by a much younger girl believed to be Kaspari. And Karina. Kruger added that all three women dressed in heavy black clothing, while one of them had shaved her head. Weiss was reported to have met Kaspari, a bakery saleswoman, and Gertrude, a primary school teacher, at a martial arts class sometime before 2017. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that it's some really weird, wacky martial art that involves a lot of weapons, a lot of outfits, and not a lot of actual useful training. Probably a lot of carters and sort of dancey bits, and people just sort of like falling over and things like that, and possibly something that involves summoning up the power of your chi. Police believe the trio don't. This goes on and on. I don't think there's look. Just a little bit of advice, a little bit of warning. They all look very similar. Just to anyone out there, be wary of people with large collections of weapons, an interest in jousting and crossbows, and who are a little on the controlling side. I think that seems like reasonable advice. I think. Look, fill me in if there's anything else I need to know. Right, what have we got? Let's have that Sam Binger bit again. Everyone was a fan of that.
So I use my love, dunk it up like lead. Pop that instead of wasting time making rhymes I sped. Yeah, did you hear what I said? Even the flyest please get fed. I got the mind that's touching incredibly red, and I'm a body in bed. Fully on the eye, trying to earn my stride. I ain't interested in the likes, this is how I ride.
Right, loads of people are banned. Wow. Squidgy, you're banned. God, Frisk banned.
Some respect, me say, yeah, no, finger and the red, I go mash out the show.
Lightfield, your band. Matt Wright band. Anyone else want to take a little trip to Ban Island?
Don't know what time it is.
Don't think you're safe now Epstein's dead.
No dibby sound. Let me tell them. Yeah, it's a man a bully in a bed. Fully bully in a bed. Yeah, fully bully. Back it up, then I make one rock it up. When me dying on the rhythm, don't know me too hot. Guess what? Around the red rise to the top, burn like fire, man a blood clot with a lot. They say rock it up, you know me one rock it up. When me dying on the rhythm, don't know me too hot. Guess what? Around the red rise to the top, burn like fire, man a blood clot with a lot. Girl flicks, red pan mic, finger pan decks. So book me if you want to see a bad man step. Come correct, show some respect. Me say, girl no, finger on the red, I go mash up the show. Took it to another level long time ago. In my killer DJ, Van Thunderbutt. If I clean out your logo and thing, you get me? Man, it's too hot. Don't know. Red up bing up on the show. Everywhere that we go. Girl, them I know.
That was Sam Binger, remixed by Particle, featuring Redders. It's called Valdolero. I like it. I think that's a good record. Shorter than I anticipated. But don't let that put you off, guys. Don't let that put you off. Where are we? Learner driver caught in high-speed police chase during third lesson. Learning to drive is... Fuck off, Smithers. I know I love you, but I can't be asked with the preamble. Fledgling driver Mia Cuddington. Let's go with Cuddlington. Mia Cuddlington was just 30 minutes into her lesson when she caught sight of police pursuing a vehicle coming in the opposite direction at high speed down the narrow road. The cops and the fleeing driver were forced to mount the pavement in order to avoid a nasty crash, and Mia during the pursuit in Kent last week. Well, let's have a look at the video. The 17-year-old was driving on Cecil Avenue in Sheerness when she spotted the grey vehicle heading towards her at speed with marked police cars in pursuit. That's a mirror signal manoeuvre. Yep, okay. Check the mirrors again. Okay, make sure you've got a good distance between each. Oh, shit!
I think they're chasing him.
What are we doing?
Ah!
Oh my god. Oh my god.
That's hilarious.
I can't drive now.
Go.
What is
Fucking
going
floor
on?
it! Floor it!
Oh my god.
Come on!
Oh my god.
That's the perfect opportunity.
Right at the end.
Handbrake turn.
Park in a little while.
Heel
Oh my
hook.
god.
Wait,
I'm
what?
so stressed out right now.
It's alright.
That's all right. Don't lose your fucking shit, babe. Come on. Okay, well, that's a bit fun, isn't it? Should be dining out on that one for a while. Don't know how much more follow-up we need to do on this, really. I think the... God, Smithers has really strung this out. Wow, look, interesting use of spacing there and paragraphs. Like, do you think there was something written there that he's just deleted? Or is it just... Okay, yeah. Road safety experts have called for the teenager who didn't have a license, tax or insurance to spend some time behind bars to reflect on his driving. Just joyriding a Subaru Impreza. That seems like some little Jimmy Cartwright shit right there. Darren Willett has been driving instructor for 19 years and says he has never seen a real police chase, let alone while teaching. Mr. Willett, 50, said, I heard fucking sirens at that lake and suddenly saw this fucking impreza going down the road. The police are not been chasing them. I can't It could have been that wee bastard, Jimmy Cartwright, off the estate. You know, the frick face lad with gimpy leg and he'd run over David Guetta once after setting our one on fire. You can't go around burning massive DJs and that like they expect to get away with it. So that was the news story there. Learner driver caught in high-speed police chase. They weren't really caught in it. She just ground to a halt and let them drive round her. I feel like there's a little bit of clickbait in there. Smithers, thought better of you, buddy. Anyway, let's find out what's going on with these fun boys. 6 elderly people arrested for having sex in an American woodland. They all have the look of a man who is preparing for the full force of their wife. They do not look. They are less worried about the law and much more worried about their wives. 6 elderly people have been arrested after they were allegedly caught having sex in a woodland in Connecticut, US of A. The group, which consisted of 5 elderly men, and one 85-year-old woman. Wow. That makes it sort of weirder, don't you think? Like, you know, just a bunch of old gay lads out having sex in the bush. Whatever, you know. Who cares? 5 of them and one 85-year-old woman. Now it's a remarkable story. They were picked up by the cops at the Grace Richardson Conservation Area in Fairfield. Apparently the group were apprehended as part of a crackdown on public sex at the popular hookup spot. He is not pleased with himself, is he? The CT Post said that 67-year-old Daniel Dobbins, Danny Dobbs, a 75-year-old Charles L. Ardito, 62-year-old Otto D. Williams, 62-year-old John Lizarts, 85-year-old Richard Butler, and his 85-year-old wife, Joyce Butler. Okay, were the people arrested. Okay, so this Butler couple, they're the real fruits of the situation, I guess. Oh, look at his face. What? Hold on. That's just a picture that they found on his... That's not a mugshot. That's just a picture they found on the geezer's Facebook. All 6 of them were arrested and charged with breach of the peace. Is that the crime there? Breach of the peace. Dobbins and Linarts were additionally charged with public indecency. Now all been released and will have their day in court at a later date. The date has not yet been set. The incident came as authorities introduced more surveillance to an area that is well known for lewd and sexual activity taking place. In fact, the area is listed on the internet as a possible spot for some less than savoury outdoor activities. Well, I guess it depends on your definition of less than savoury. The CT Times reports that the Grace Richardson Conservation Area is advertised on a city hookups guide. That also advertises on several other salubrious locations, like a local McDonald's and a car park. The cops decided to crack down on this behaviour earlier in the month, and they've certainly obtained a result here. Why is there no picture of the woman? Come on. Police were called. When they arrived, they found Dobbins sitting in his car with his shirts and shorts draped over him and no underwear. Where are we? Back on August 9th, concerned local residents called the police to report the activity happening in the woodland. Once there, they perhaps got a little more than they bargained for. Since then, the police have said that they'll continue to keep checking on these sites, as well as the internet, in order to keep Fairfield's public spaces appropriate and safe. One of the men who was arrested, Daniel Dobbins, is no stranger to this sort of thing, having previously been charged by Connecticut police with second-degree breach of the peace. On that occasion, according to reports, he was spotted by witnesses wandering around a park completely naked. Here's Big Danny Dobbins. Yeah, he does have that vibe, doesn't he? He does sort of have that naked in a park kind of vibe. You know, like, it's a look. You know, it can take a lifetime to build up that look. He's obviously worked very hard on it. He's put the hours in the park, in the nip. That's not a look you can just pull out. Like you go, I'm going to a different university this year, so I might reinvent myself a little bit. I might go for that arrested naked in a park look. You can't just pull that out of the back. You can't go to a fancy dress shop You can't learn that Luke in a book. You know? That takes years of dedication. You need your 10,000 hours of Gladwellian mastery for that one. You know, you can't just do a course on Udemy. Yeah? Go and go udemy.com. Fucking, that's a good idea. Jesus, that's a good idea for whiskey and memes. I tell you, that Udemy website, I don't know if you've ever been on it. It's like, it's just courses for stuff. Courses for fucking everything. Courses from learning to code, to learning music production, to learning to be a pet psychic. Yeah, I think that would be a good one for whiskey and memes. I'll go through and find the biggest piles of A-grade shit that I can find. That I've found some of the most insane stuff on that. People that will go on about your past lives. They'll teach you how to work out what other people's past lives were. Basically, you'll teach you how to scam idiots. Scam the gullible. Scam generally gullible middle-aged white women. Yeah, they've got cash. They've got their husband's cash. They don't know what to do with it. They're spending it on crystals, yoni eggs, fucking yoga, because they fancy the yoga teacher. They're spending it on ginger butt plugs, facelifts, and teaching, learning to find out about people's fucking past lives. They're psychic pet detectives. They got people that will come in, they'll tell you your dog's trans, charge you 500 quid for the pleasure of it. And there are mad, rich white women that buy that shit up. Got nothing better to do with their time. Unbelievable. Post some Minions memes. Just fucking get on with it. Yeah, you would not believe the insanity on that website. Like, it's like, oh, do you want to learn how to do astral projection? Sure. Great. Yeah, I know we've got bloody Google Maps now, but why not? I'll learn how to do remote viewing. Some cunt on Udemy will charge you 25 quid for the pleasure. God bless the free markets, you know? This wouldn't happen under communism. You would not be able to get a freaking... If Corbyn got in and had his way, yeah, you would not be able to go online and spend 25 quid on a course about astral projection, yeah? You wouldn't be able to do it. They wouldn't... Maybe you would. I don't know. That seems like maybe that's the sort of bollocks they'd be into. Could be. Don't know. Yeah, I'm going to do some remote viewing, find out, or look at all the kulaks stealing grain. Fucking commies. Anyway. Where was I? Daniel Darbins. Yeah, he's really cultivated that freaky weirdo naked in a park Luke. And you can too, but I'm telling you, you're not going to be able to learn it from an online tutorial. You need to go out there and live it. That needs to be your life. That needs to be your one thing. When Gary V tells you to crush it, that is what you should be crushing, you know, but it's not going to happen overnight, yeah? Go out, just wear just shorts in the park and just spend all day there, just skulking about, scaring kids. Start like that. Just maybe 10 years down the line, you'll really have this look. There he is. Look at that face. He has seen things. He has been involved in stuff. Like that guy who was whacking himself near the horses, yeah? That Luke that he had of the archetype, it was like the archetypal greasy pervert look. You know, he looked like a bloody police photo fit of a pedo, yeah? You can't learn that in a book. Tell you, you can't learn that Luke in a book. Anyway, look, let's play another record. Let's play this London Soul by Insomniacs. Good record, all things considered. Right, I swear to fuck, there are more bannings. Anyone saying USB 3, it's real trouble, okay, now, guys. Coming up at 11, my friend and yours, Constrict with Incidental Sonics. Hang the fuck around for that one. Put the crossbow down, you won't be needing it. There'll be a new episode of Rankins. Fucking, there's too much ranking. New episode of Rankin Radio tomorrow morning. Podcast, that is. If you want to hear Jim saying deeply unpleasant things about someone who is supporting the podcast financially, tune in. Yeah, man, it's Insomniacs. It's called London Soul. I'm a fan. I like the vibes it has, okay? Right, come on, I see we're really into the fucking weeds now, aren't we? So, let Date castrate him, then keep his balls in a jar by his bed. See, he's got that look, yeah? That's what I'm talking about. He looks like Boris Johnson's been to Boomtown is what he looks like, but for a year-long Boomtown. He's yeah. If he's tried to sell you something in a pub, don't buy it. That's the Luke, isn't it? A man allegedly castrated his willing date, then kept his severed balls in a jar next to his bedside. Gary Van... What are we going for with this one? Where's Wodge when you need him? Ryswick. Let's go with Ryswick. Gary Van Ryswick met the other man on Unch. Eunuch. Eunuch.com? Oh, yeah, right. Sorry, I really read that the wrong way. Eunuch.com, a website for people with a fetish for castration, according to police. Officers who investigated described the case as sensitive and kinda nuts. This is why I think it's bollocks. Like that. See, that seems like an unlikely quote. I know police like to get sassy, but they said a deputy responding to the home in Sebring, Florida, after a man called 911. When they knocked on the door, Van Ryswick, 74, allegedly told him he had just castrated a man. Police said deputies found the man on the bed with a towel over his groin, which was bleeding heavily. Nearby, there was a pink container which held 2 body parts that had recently been much closer to the victim. Right, okay, this is bollocks. This is the Metro reporting fake news. There's no way the police would have said 2 body parts that had recently been much closer to the victim. The victim was taken to the hospital and was later flown to a regional medical centre. He is listed as in a stable condition. So they've got a picture from Google Maps. Okay, let's just... Can I save that? We can do a reverse Google on it. See what happens. Come on, Google, you sod. Images. How do you do? Yeah, so search by image. Upload the image. Come here, boy. Come here, boy. Squeal like a piggy, boy. There he is. Gentleman. What? Oh, it's just sort of similar images. BuzzFeed. What? What? This picture is in loads of BuzzFeed, different BuzzFeed articles. 27 unspoken suit rules every man should know. What is going on? What? Where's the picture of this dude then? Is he in the Is he in this thing at the bottom or something? What's going on? What is going on? Help. Help me. Someone, please. BuzzFeed is not a reliable source of anything other than that it was reliably shit. This is not doing a lot. I do not believe this. Anyway, look, I'm just going out on the limb to say I do not believe this is true. What else have we got? The room was set up like a surgical centre with medical equipment and painkillers. There was also a camera set up to record the procedure. They said Van Ryswyk told the victim he had experience on animals and had even removed one of his own testicles in 2012. According to BuzzFeed News, the man tried to castrate a victim a week earlier, but the man had become aroused and ejaculated as he tried to sanitize his penis. Again, seems unlikely. Police said the man also claimed to have carried out a similar procedure on a man at a local motel a few years ago. The other man went to hospital, but police were not informed. Heartland Crime Stoppers. This is... I'm just not buying this shit, man. Right, okay. So that's bollocks. It's all bollocks. Okay. The Metro have reported fake news, I think is what's going on here. Are you able to comment? No? Comments are turned off? Metro, Jen... Did I think better of Jen Mills? This is pathetic. The whole thing's pathetic. Not impressed. Not impressed whatsoever. Okay, look, let's have this. This seems like a relatively short article. Guys, MDMA could be used to treat alcoholism more effectively than current therapy. New research suggests MDMA, more commonly known as ecstasy, could be successfully used to treat alcohol addiction. The early findings of the study, which is the first of its kind to use the party drug for this reason, indicated that using ecstasy could produce better results than the standard treatment in use currently. Psychiatrists are trialling the use of small doses of MDMA alongside psychotherapy and found that after 9 months, half of those who took part in the study remained completely sober, with only one participant suffering a full relapse. To put that into context, 8 out of every 10 people who were given standard treatment for their alcohol addiction started drinking again within 3 years. Okay, so it's only for 9. It was only 9 months ago, but the results look promising. So there seems to be a lot of very good applications for MDMA when it comes to psychotherapy. The research on using it for PTSD is extremely promising, whereby they don't give you some beans and tell you to go out and have a good time. I think it happens over about 3 days, but you have a very specific type of therapy while having had a small dose of MDMA. And apparently the way the drug opens up your consciousness, it allows you to accept what's happened to you in a way that is much harder to do while sober. So it's a very special type of therapy. You take the drug to kind of get you into a particular state where you're, in a way, a little bit more malleable, but just a little bit more open to, the idea of, accepting what's happened to you. Apparently the results are unbelievably promising. But as with these things, it's, it requires some serious governmental change to allow these procedures. And when you have fucking morons at the helm, as we do, it's going to take a long old time, and a lot more people are going to have to suffer unnecessarily for it to come to a head. There was also not physiological or psychological problems reported as a result of using the drug. The trial was performed by doctors from Imperial College London. The study's leader, Dr. Ben Sessa, a senior research fellow and addiction psychiatrist, told The Guardian, with the very best that medical science can work with, 80% of people are drinking within 3 years of post-alcohol detox. So far, 11 people have taken part in this study, which includes 9 months of follow-ups. The first stage aims to prove only that the therapy is safe. Okay. Dr. Sessa continued, we've got one person who's completely relapsed, back to previous drinking levels. We have 5 people who are completely dry and have 4 or 5 who have 1 or 2 drinks but wouldn't reach the diagnosis of alcohol use disorder. Addiction is often linked to some part of childhood trauma, which is why MDMA could be effective, as it selectively impairs fear response, meaning that it is possible to recall painful memories without being overwhelmed. Yeah, there you go. This is why its applications for PTSD are so, important. Future trials will aim to compare the results of MDMA treatment against a random control group taking a placebo. Patients are given an 8-week-long psychotherapy course, as well as 2 doses of MDMA. After the dose, they spend 8 hours lying down discussing thoughts with the psychiatrists and psychologists. Dr. Sessa added, we let them lead the session as to where they want to go, what comes up, so it's not very guided by the clinicians. There's also been no observed instances of come-downs or withdrawals using the drug. Dr. Sessa explained, there's no Black Monday, Blue Tuesday, or whatever ravers call it. In my opinion, that's an artifact of raving, not about MDMA. I'm inclined to agree. MDMA has been used before in psychotherapy as far back as 1970s in the USA. A government spokesperson said, we have a clear licensing regime supported by legislation which allows legitimate research to take place in a secure environment while ensuring the harmful drugs are not misused and do not get into the hands of criminals. Criminals that might want to expand their brains a little bit. These evil monsters. Well, luckily, we're at the end of the show, so it will save me ranting about that, as I've done many, many times before. Guys, thank you to everyone who is supporting on Le Patreon. You're all wonderful, wonderful folks, and without your support, I would not be able to do the show or run the station. So, thank you. You're keeping this dream alive. If you want to support the show and get your name on the VIP list, just go to threshold.fm, go to donate, or there will be a link to the Patreon in the YouTube description that you're currently watching on. The list is Greg Cornford, Oliver Hooper, Tom Ryan, Reece Mosson, Squidgy Beats, Pauly Hutton, Ciarán R, Michael Kedzierski, Matty Tomkins, Dave Long, Joel Potter, Sam Howard, Tony J, Richard Patterson, Tom Camm, Stephen Harris, Matthieu Boulard, Jeroen Van Thunderbutt, Mike Pye, Lily Unsub, Richard Franks, Thomas Hall, Chode Ryder, John Finison, BDR Crew, Peter Blatchford, Austin Groove Cooper, Gennady Lightfield, James Parry, Hendo Bartendo, Lady Squivington, Liam the Menace Underwood, Dan fucking Morris, Guy With No STDs, Ames MC, Josh Williams, Rob Humphrey, Shibby T, Coco Shiva, Dan Elton, Taran Williams, Mr. Pope, Dark Forgetted Sidetrans, such as Superior Drum and Bass, Nicolas Lorcy, Kris Breaks, The Build, Karissa Barthelson, Odin Bates, Lee Fuller, D, Daniel Jeffrey, Flaxis, Matt Wright, Grant Sullivan, Tom Robinson, Dad Smasher, Connor Smythe, Kevin Kaiser, Chris Shaw, Cosmic Waft, Meatloaf, Nick Brock, Sean Simpson, Robin Card, Hugh Danner, Sarah Hunt, The Hitchmuffs, Eltec, Willay, Ben Virgo, Dan Tweedy, by Zalazar, Big Wodge, My Hill, Marty Danny, Nick Fleming, Carl Lewis, Gordon and Liz, Carl Williams, Tom Skipper. Unfortunately, it's George DC, Anthony Sharp, Claudio Loveschmier, Benage, Dremrushe, Timid, Flat Earth Society membership number 98347, and John Forsyth Anderson. You're a fine bunch of beasts. But now, coming up is our boy from the other side, Constrict with Incidental Sonics for the next 2 hours, and then Gold Top for 2 hours, and then I'll be back at 3 for Rankins Records. What a fucking day. Right. I love you all. I'll see you at 3. Stay out of trouble. Head over to threshold.fm to listen to Constrict or fire up the app. And just know that I love you, but in a weird way. I don't love you in like a sort of, oh, that's nice, yeah, we all love each other. No, it's weird. Yeah, it's a bit threatening. Okay, just bear that in mind. Okay.